Hello everybody, welcome along to the Royal Exchange. My name is Dan Wimbush here at Madejski Stadium as we build up to this weekend's game with Preston North End. It's been quite the interesting few weeks since we last joined you. A change at the top as Paul Clement comes in as manager to replace Jaap Stam. We'll look at how he's got on in his first couple of games and much more over the next half an hour. Coming up on this week's Royal Exchange, we sit down and talk to Dave Edwards about his life on and off the pitch, plus give you a chance to win a signed shirt from the Reading midfielder. We also go behind the scenes at the Star Hall of Fame ceremony to see which names got inducted this year. Plus, we'll hear from Reading midfielder George Evans and new manager Paul Clement. All of that, plus Tom Holmes and Paul McShane show why they're ready for a scrap. We've got the Goal of the Month contenders, and we look back on some very classic memories against this weekend's opponents, Preston North End. All of that and much more on this week's Royal Exchange. Well, we'll be joined by Dave Edwards a little bit later on, and the Reading midfielder provides a topic for today's quiz question, where I'm delighted to say you'll be able to win a signed Reading FC shirt signed by the man himself, as well as a copy of his book that came out just a few months ago. The question you have to answer is, who did Dave Edwards score his first Reading goal against? That's who did Dave Edwards score his first Reading goal against. Just leave your answer in the Facebook comment section and we'll notify you if you are chosen as the lucky winner. So get entering. We'll bring you the answer to that a little bit later in the show. So lots to come in this week's show. But before we go any further, let's have a look at how the Paul Clement era kicked off here against QPR, followed by a trip to Villa Park to face high-flying Aston Villa.
The Paul Clement era began with a good Friday in every sense, and the goal that earned the 3 points last time out at Madejski Stadium was an absolute belter. Shawnee Aluko's driving run was bettered only by the quality of his strike. One goal proved to be enough, thanks to the Royals' defensive resolve. When Pavel Vozlek found space to shoot, Vito Minone was equal to it. Reading had to scrap for the points once substitute Jan Kermorgant was sent off. The striker's second yellow put the Royals at a numerical disadvantage. As the game entered stoppage time, Rangers were gifted the chance to go level as Vozlek went to the ground in the area. But Vito Minone was the hero of the hour for the Royals, palming Jake Bidwell's spot kick to safety to ensure the points remained in RG2. It was a different story at Villa Park in midweek, however, and it was always going to be an uphill struggle after Dave Edwards' dismissal meant the Royals would play over an hour a man length. The Royals dealt with everything thrown at them in the first half, including this gilt-edged chance for Scott Hogan, which Vito Minone managed to keep out. But within a minute of the restart, Birkir Bjarnason's pinpoint effort gave the Villains the breakthrough and something for the hosts to hold on to. The second followed just after the hour, as Conor Hourihane ghosted in on a deflected delivery from Robert Snodgrass. Hogan completed the scoring late on, pinching possession from Minone and firing in Villa's third.
So, mixed fortunes for Paul Clement in his first week in charge. Let's hear from the Reading manager now, who was speaking after that defeat at Aston Villa.
I think what's also very important is that we have to push that aside and move on very quickly. There's another game in a couple of days. It's a home game, it's against Preston, it's a game that we really have to try and win.
And back on home turf too against Preston, which is important because the atmosphere was so good at the last game, and hopefully tonight will feel like a little bit of a blip, but nothing too serious that we can't move past and get a good result this weekend.
No, absolutely. Move forward quickly, recover from that, and move on to Preston. Play well, get the home fans behind us again, get the right result.
And home form, of course, is so important at any stage of the season. Really, in these kind of we've got 3 more home games too, and it'd be nice if they're the base of what's a good end to the season, wouldn't it?
No, absolutely, the home games are massive. You've got that advantage of your fans getting right behind you and familiar territory for the players, so we need to take advantage of that.
And now we can get a few thoughts from Reading midfielder George Evans, who's been speaking ahead of this weekend's game with Preston.
The atmosphere on Friday was brilliant. It was up there with the playoffs. I remember when we played Fulham at home. That was probably the only one that could really compete with it, and it makes a big difference. And obviously with Vito saving that penalty, I've not heard all that for a long time, and it was very good, and it does spur you on as players, and hopefully we can see everyone there on Saturday, and hopefully can push us forward, as well as a good performance from us.
That result had pretty much everything you want from a game, and it had drama, you know, it had success for Reading at the end as well. You could hear, you know, the relief and the proudness from the fans at the end of the game to get that win, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. We know we've not been good enough this season. We need to start winning some more games, and home games are massive for us now at this time of the stage and the season. And yeah, obviously for the fans and for the players, it was a big lift. But we need to do more of that, and we need to continue with this now, make sure we won't get 3 points at home again.
Another team that's chasing playoffs, promotion and all of that. It's a different sort of challenge for them this season, a top opposition. But do you look too much into that, or is it a case of just looking what's in front of you and trying to break them down and do the best that you can? Yeah,
exactly. We know the qualities of Preston. They're not an easy team to beat, and we know the quality of them. But when I look around and the quality of this team, I know we can beat anyone in this league, but we just need to go and show that now, and make sure we prove that on Saturday and show we've got the better players and that will to go and get the 3 points.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome along to the Royal Exchange this week Reading midfielder Dave Edwards. Dave, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you here on the show. Unfortunately, I wish it could be in sort of better circumstances. Personally, not the most ideal week for you. Let's get it out of the way first of all. The red card at Villa Park. First of all, was it fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think both tackles you look at and you can get bookings. I think being away from home and all the things that go with that sort of factored into it as well. But it's not one that I could really argue. And especially after I made the first one, the first tackle I felt I had to make because I felt Jack Grealish was breaking onto our back four, and I was prepared to give a booking away at that point, even though it was early on in the game, just to stop the counter attack. And then the second one, it was just one of those silly decisions, a split second where I saw the ball, I thought I could win it, and as soon as you go to ground, then obviously you put yourself in trouble. And in my experience and knowledge of the game, I should definitely know a lot better, and ultimately it cost us the game in the end, making the lads play 60 minutes with 10 men, which against the Villa team, 11 men is hard enough, but with 10 it was always going to be more difficult.
I mean, credit to you, you fronted up straight away, you went onto Instagram and posted an apology to your teammates and the Reading fans out there. Really surprised me as well, for a player that I've watched down the years play against us several times, a tough tackler, someone that gets stuck in, a first red card.
Yeah, it's my first say over 500 games and never had a red card. I've had a lot of similar situations where I've got booked early in the game, and that does really affect my game personally, because I'm using the team to break up play and try and win the ball back. It's a big asset of mine. But say fortunately up until this point I'd never got that second yellow card, and there's been times where I've made tackles and I've kind of squinted a little bit, but the referee's always been kind to me. But unfortunately Tuesday night it wasn't meant to be, and so I paid the price for it.
Ever managed to talk yourself out of that second booking, do you think?
I think maybe beforehand. I tried to do it on Tuesday. As soon as I made the first tackle, I was onto the referee and said, look, I'm not going to make any malicious tackles. There's going to be times when I'm going to have to put my foot in, but please just give me the benefit of the doubt. And so he said to me, well, don't give me a decision to make then. And unfortunately I did.
It's doubly unfortunate in a week where the new manager's taken his first 2 games in charge. It's been a while since we've done this show. Jack was back in charge back then. Now we're under Paul. What's it been like working for him the first couple of weeks?
It's been very good. He's very, very analytical. He's a really, really good coach. Definitely one of the best I've worked with in terms of what his demeanour on the training pitch, his message to get across. He's very, very confident and professional in what he delivers, and I've been really, really impressed. And obviously winning the first game against QPR gave us a lot of more confidence. And so unfortunately Tuesday night it was always going to be a difficult game, but under circumstances it got a lot worse. But hopefully that shouldn't knock our confidence too much, and we've got some huge games coming up, and I'm really confident with the new manager that we can get the results to first keep us in the league and then hopefully push on next year.
A lot of fans will expect sort of an immediate turnaround with a new manager, new style, new impetus and a dramatic turnaround. You've been at plenty of clubs where you've experienced managerial changes before. From a player's point of view, how hard is it just to suddenly turn things around and work under a new boss?
It is. I think when a new manager comes in, there's a lot of lads who will sort of in a way be happy. People who might not have been playing and they feel they've got a fresh chance to go and prove that they're worthy of a place in the team. So you do get an initial reaction, but on the flip side that you have a lot of stuff to learn. The new manager have new principles, a different philosophy, and you've got to sort of adapt to that really quickly and then try and do that message on the pitch, say after the first game, only after 4 days of training, and say I thought we managed to do that well, and I think the longer and longer you go with the new manager, we'll get better and better.
Absolutely. I couldn't not ask about the old manager, Jaap Stam, who brought you to the football club. How disappointed were you to see him go?
Yeah, I think it was obviously disappointing at the time. You can't sort of argue the decision when you look at the run of results, but it's disappointing as players that we weren't able to get the results which sort of his hard work and everything that him and the rest of the staff did really deserved. And I think a few of the boys have come out and said that we need to take some of the criticism and the blame for that, and obviously we need to do that. And me personally, I don't think I was playing well enough, and a lot of other players will think the same, but unfortunately for the manager it's always him at the top of the tree who kind of takes the bullet. But I'm grateful for him bringing me into the club, and say all the lads who've worked under him, he's definitely made everyone a better player, and the success he had last year, but it just shows how quickly football can change.
Did he get in touch with? Has he been in touch with you since he left the club, or the players?
Yeah.
That he?
Well, he came in the day after the news broke, or the day the news broke, and kind of said his goodbyes, and obviously the support staff are still there as well at that point. So yeah, everyone's had a chance to say goodbye, and so it's unfortunate. It's always a strange moment when things like this happen, but it happens so often in football. It sounds bad, but you can get used to it. I've had a lot of managers in the past 10 years, and I'm sure in the future there'll be more again. So it's just something that unfortunately happens in football.
We mentioned on the pitch things not going so well. Desperately, obviously, trying to avoid relegation. Fingers crossed we can do that. You've been on that inside, have been relegated Wolves twice in 2 seasons. Those sort of feelings, do they help you this time around, having been through that before? Are you able to sort of say to guys, oh, we need to nip this in the bud, or this and that?
Yeah, I think so. I think experience is really important when you get to this stage of season, and especially obviously suffering relegations in the past, which is not a nice feeling. You can sense when that's happening. I don't think the dressing room we've got here is anything like the dressing rooms which I've been relegated in. It's full of hard work and enthusiasm, and in the past we didn't quite have that at times. But the experience in the tough games and the atmosphere is difficult, can always be important. But on the flip side, when you get a young player who's carefree and just wants to go and play, that can also help. So it's about getting that blend right. But I definitely think we've got the right characters in the dressing room to get out of this.
You mentioned characters in the dressing room. One of the former players you played with was Kevin Doyle. He was back at Madejski Stadium recently for the Star Hall of Fame. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from that.
Tonight is the 3rd session of our Hall of Fame inductions, and tonight we will be putting 25 more people into Star's Reading FC Hall of Fame.
Well, it's fantastic seeing some people some people and players that you'd heard about but never met, and obviously the players who have played for the club in the past. Fantastic tradition the club has, and it's really interesting to get more information on it, and really good to be a part of it, to be honest.
I was wondering what it would feel like to be driving. I drove over from Ireland this morning, and it was weird driving down the M4. Felt no different than it did 10 years ago, and it was nice to see some familiar faces and get the honour of being inducted here tonight.
Oh, marvellous, absolutely a great honour and a privilege. Just to be part of the club for all those years I played. I loved every minute of it. Wouldn't change a day, and they all say that, but I wouldn't. I had a wonderful time, and then to stop playing many years ago now, and then to get invited back to this Hall of Fame is fantastic.
But we take the long view of history, and we think it is right to be fair to all the decades in the club's history, because they form links from the past to the present, and if that link there in the past wasn't there, then we wouldn't have this present and we wouldn't have that future.
Yeah, the odd time, but the records came, you know, every time you got to 100, 200, 300, but you never thought about it at the time. And it's only now later in life you sit back and you actually think, well, that was incredible.
When I was coming over here for the first time, I couldn't have imagined how it would have gone, and you know, just delighted to have played for the club. Fantastic club for me, and you know, I look forward to coming back and watching a few games.
So big congratulations to all of those who were inducted and to staff putting on such a fantastic event. Dave's still here with me. Dave, we saw Doyler there. We were chatting a little bit off air about your experiences with him. You played with quite a few former Reading players, Stephen Hunt, Marcus Hanneman. People, I mean, what were they like to play with?
Yeah, they were all great lads, all very different characters in different ways. And say Doyler was absolutely terrific when he was at Wolves. Great lads on and off the pitch. His work rate was phenomenal, and I know he had a lot of success here at Reading as well, but say what he brought to the team when I played with him was just incredible. He would work the whole back four and allow the midfielders just to kind of stay in their shape and do their job, and he would sort of win headers, he'd be chasing them down, getting goals, so he was really good. And then the other two you mentioned there, Hunty and Marcus. How
do you keep up with Hunty?
And Marcus as well, to be fair. Yeah, Hunty again. I really got on well with Hunty. He was a little jack in the box. He didn't know how to sit still, but he would, again, work rate and all them sort of things on the football pitch was terrific, and he always had a good heart. I mean, he always wanted to, if you was in trouble or anything like that, he'd always wanted to help you out, whether that's professionally or personal life. He was just a really nice guy, and so everyone sees the madness of Stephen Hunt, but he's a really nice guy. And then you've got Marcus, who is just an out-and-out All-American guy.
Did you ever let him control the jukebox and the music player in the dressing room? What a unique taste in music.
I know.
Marcus.
My eardrums wouldn't have been able to take Marcus controlling it. He's a character. But again, another really nice guy. Loves all things hunting, fishing, cars, anything that kind of real masculine type of guy. Yeah, he always used to bring brownies into training as well at Wolves, which was nice. That his wife used to cook up, so he was always in everyone's good books.
Except for the physios.
Yeah, except for the
nutritionist.
No, he used to have to hide them from them. But no, all great guys.
Did you speak to any of them when the decision came about, when the chance to come here came up? Did you have a word at all?
Not about coming here, but I remember having a few conversations with Stephen Hunt when he was at Wolves, and it was just strange. Really, he'd always said to me, "You would really suit Reading. The way your personality and the way you play." He always said, this was sort of 4 or 5 years ago, he says, you remind me of a Reading player. So it's weird how it all sort of came around to then, but all of them had so many good things to say about Reading when they were at Wolves, about the Berkshire as a place to live, and then the people at the football club. They said how much of a family club it was, and that really sort of rung home to me with my background and things like that as well. So yeah, they only said good things, and they made it easier, even though I didn't really speak to them before.
You're part of a dying breed, really. You spent nearly a decade at Molineux. How tough was it to leave a club after so long?
It was, and probably I didn't think it'd be as difficult as what it has been, and I think it's taken me a lot longer to adapt to life at Reading than what I would have hoped for, sort of on the pitch and off the pitch, really. But I feel like I'm a lot more settled now. But it was a big decision. I'm from Shrewsbury originally, which is only half an hour, 45 minutes from Wolverhampton, so I've never had to live away from home. Been very lucky, which not many footballers get to do that. My children grew up, they've only known me playing for Wolves, and my little boy was a massive Wolves fan. He's sort of 7 years old and loves his football. I think he was more disappointed than anyone for me to leave. But as soon as I got my Reading kit, he was kind of won over a little bit.
Is that difficult when you play against Wolves now? Where you're like, oh well, you know, you got to hope Daddy wins today.
Yeah, it was strange because he'll still go and watch Wolves now and again, especially when Reading away from home and things like that. He'll go with my brother, who's a massive Wolves fan, so it's in the family a little bit. And yeah, I think Reading's taken over just about now, but it's taken a while to win his heart over.
That's what he likes to hear, absolutely. And you know, the upheaval continued. You've recently announced an international retirement as well, after a long career with Wales. What was behind that decision?
There's a few things. I'd like to say family again played a big part in that, because me sort of being down in Berkshire now and my family's still up in Shropshire at the moment. It's a lot of time away from home. If I was first choice for Wales and playing every game, then I would always carry on, but with being more of a squad player nowadays and sort of going on these long trips, having an extra 10-15 days away from the family, I would have felt that would have been quite hard on them, not only me. And also wanted to prolong my own professional career, and these breaks are really important to get your legs up and to have a few days off your feet. And then on a professional level for Wales, I think it's important that the next generation start coming through, and for me to keep going and maybe nicking 1 or 2 caps here and there. I think it's more important for the younger players to get their chance, because I was lucky enough to get my chance when I was sort of coming through.
Must have been quite hard as well, though, walking away from a chance to play under Ryan Giggs. I presume you would have played a couple of times with him in your earlier days?
Yeah, well, one squad. My first squad, I think, was his last squad. Okay. So so I've met him a few times, and comes across a great guy. And yeah, it would have been great to work under him, but I just think the timing of it all, with Chris Coleman leaving, it just felt right with it being a bit of an end of an era. Would have loved to have gone to the World Cup, obviously, in the summer. Unfortunately, that wasn't meant to be. And it just felt, after the highs of Euro 2016, and just felt like it was a good time for me to leave it and have some really good memories. You mentioned those highs of Euro 2016. They helped inspire what we've got in front of us here, and we'll come on to this in a bit. A book, you've turned your hands. How was writing a book? It's not something many footballers do, especially while they're still playing. No, yeah. So most people wait for the end of their career, but I think with the majority of the book being about the Euros, I'd say there's 50% in there about Wales. It just felt like it'd be nice to bring it out when it's still relevant, really. And I was going to wait if we'd have got to the World Cup, I think I'd have waited and maybe combined it all together. But yeah, the time was right. Me and Paul Berry, a guy I used to work with at Wolves, have been writing it together from straight after the Euros, really, and compiling it all. And we're just waiting to push the button on getting it published. But it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. It's something that I would like to do again, and obviously not so much about my career. If there's something else I could think about writing about, it'd be really enjoyable. Well, I mentioned we'd talk about the book a little bit more, because we have been asking people on the Royal Exchange here. Just came up organically when we had Chris Gunter in as our first guest, whether he had a copy of the book, and he said no. And as did John Dudley Bovis. And let's have a look at exactly what they had to say on it. Well, that run to the semi-finals in France has been made into a film, and it's been written down now by one of your teammates, Dave Edwards, in his book as well. What's it been like reliving it through his point of view?
No, well, I haven't had it yet.
You're not?
No, he hasn't given me a copy.
Christmas present. It'll be coming.
I am expecting one, if he's watching.
We asked Chris Gunter last week, had he been sent a copy of Dave Edwards' book? Have you got one yet?
No, I haven't got one yet. He needs to, answer his friends as well, not just the public.
Unbelievable. Well, there you go, Dave. The challenge has been laid down. That's 2 from 2 now. You need to get our next guest a book before you come in. Don't want us to make this a habit. There we have it. Dave, this is your right of reply. What have you got to say? First of all, did Chris Gunter get a copy in his Christmas stocking?
No, he didn't. No one has, actually. And I don't know if you know this, but the proceeds that I make from the book is all going to a charity which I'm involved in, the Little Rascals Foundation, and I'd like to think that the boys wouldn't mind paying £13 to make a little bit of money as well. But
absolutely. Well, there you have it. Chris, John, if you're watching, get down, get a copy. Where can people pick up a copy?
They've got some in the club shop here at Reading, and then it's available online as well. It's we had to do a reprint, which is obviously great, but that's all available now, and so you can get that off Amazon or Waterstones or all places like that. Yeah, you did a mini book tour as well. How did that go? How was it getting to speak to the fans about it? Yeah, it was good. Apart from the Wolves one, I went to Wolves Club Shop and got stuck on the M5 on the way there, and got there, and I was just amazed by the amount of people there. It was really incredible, but I was sort of an hour late, and I felt awful for everyone who had to wait. But no, it was great, and sort of I did Wolves first, and then I did Shrewsbury the following day, which was obviously good as well. Then I came to Reading on the Friday as well, and all of them were brilliant. I was amazed how many people turned out, and obviously it's raising a lot of money as well, which is great.
Excellent. Well, hope, fingers crossed, form on the pitch picks up here and we get a few more wins under Paul Clement. It's not been all doom and gloom though over the past month. Let's have a look at some of these goals of the month.
Giving it away. Good break from Reading. Here's Barbasan. There's the opening goal. Who's the daddy for Reading? Lovely crisp counter-attack. Luco with a cutting pass. Bob Barson with a fine finish.
He's waiting in the box. It's a good ball in. It's a great ball in. It's a brilliant finish as well. Sam Smith volleys it home with real panache. It's a wonderful ball into the box. The Royals in possession here with Sonny Aluko. Aluko driving through the middle, gets the shot away as well! It's a stunning goal! Reading lead, and it's one of the goals of the season for Sonny Aluko. His first since November, and it was well worth the wait.
So those are your contenders for the Cherwell goal of the month. Dave, out of those three, which was your favourite? I think I might know which one you're going to go for.
Yeah, they were all good goals. The first one was a really good team goal, but I think Shawnee's goal against QPR was a great individual goal, even though I sort of didn't leave him much to do really. I put on a plate for him with that pass, but no, it's a great individual goal, and that's what Shawnee's capable of, and it's a really important goal as well, I think.
Absolutely. Vital to get those first 3 points under a new manager. Let's talk about you a little bit more. You know, sorry for asking this. You're into your 30s now. We've talked about an international retirement. Have you started looking at maybe what's next after football?
Yeah, I think I've always had an eye on what I want to do after, and making sure that I'm in a position for when I retire that it just doesn't hit me like a bus, and I think, well, what do I do now, and things like that. So I've always been planning off the field with different things, but a few different businesses which I'm involved in, and the charity which I'm involved in as well. I'm going to do my coaching badges as well, just in case. At the moment, I don't really see that as a route for me, but I would always do them just in case an opportunity ever came up, which I didn't want to turn down. And yeah, I think anything in football would be great. The chance to maybe do a little bit of media work as well. But it'd be great. The business I'm involved in, I really feel that the next part of my life might be in that route.
Going back the other way though, if it hadn't been football, what was it going to be for you, or was it always going to be football?
No, it definitely wasn't. I didn't join Shrewsbury Town until I was 16, so I sort of was doing my GCSEs and had my plan to go to do my A-levels, and then I wanted to go to university, and I wanted to be a physio at the time. Yeah, so that was the route I wanted to take. And even when I joined Shrewsbury, it was about the January in my year 11 at school. It was quite a big decision to make, and I was quite a sensible boy in school, and I always knew that the chances of becoming a professional footballer were so slim. As much as I loved the game, I kind of always wanted to have everything else sorted, even at that young age, and so I had to make sure with Shrewsbury that my education would still come first, and they were really good for me. They allowed me to do my A-levels and things like that, but luckily within a year I'd made my first team debut, and my football career was up and running.
Have you always been a midfielder, or are you one of these players that started as a striker and worked your way back?
No, I think I've always more or less played as a midfielder. I think for the school team I had a stint up front and even played in goal a few times, but in my local teams I've always played midfield.
Does that mean are you on emergency goalkeeper duties with these two keepers?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to be. But I think
just to mention it to Paul next time.
Yeah. I was a bit of a cross-country runner when I was younger, so I think they put me in the middle just to run around as much as possible.
And you mentioned family still up in Shropshire. Are there plans to all come down here to Berkshire?
Yeah, well, the original plan was to sort of get this first year out of the way and then see how it all settles. And I rented a place in Reading itself. While I'm there at the moment, I think I'd like to move to some beautiful villages on the edge of Reading. It'd be nice to next season move to one of those and look to get the family down here. I have to obviously see what pre-season brings and things like that. But yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world to have a family. There's so many things to do, and my wife's always cursing that the kids are wanting to come down here as often as possible. They love Legoland and all the national parks around here. It's great.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, due to that red card, you won't be involved against Preston on Saturday, but a team you've come up against lots in your career. I mean, what are you expecting from them?
Well, they've had a really, really good season. I think Alex Neil's come in and done a fantastic job. They've been in and around that playoffs all season, and it's going to be another tough game. I think we've got 3 huge home games coming up with them, Sunderland and Ipswich, I think it is, and if you take points in them games, that should hopefully secure our safety, and it has to start on Saturday. It's obviously gutting to be missing the game on a personal note, but we've got so many good players in our squad, so many good midfielders, and hopefully we can get the 3 points and just pull us away gently.
You've never had that red card in your career, but you've had injuries. Are you a player that likes to come to the stadium and be in amongst it, or you you get that itch and you need to get away from it?
No, I will be here obviously, but I don't enjoy watching the games when I'm not involved. And I was suspended for this is bizarre just thinking about it now. I was suspended for 1 game last year. I picked up 5 bookings, and that was Preston as well. I missed last year. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of watching the games, but I will be here on Saturday, and I say it just gets a bit frustrating when you can't be out there yourself.
Has the manager set any points targets or anything? You don't have to tell us what they are, but is there a case of we need X amount of points, or is it you're literally just taking every game as it comes? No targets have been set in terms of what we need to stay up, because it's this stage of the season, it's so difficult. Teams will put together runs and you never know exactly what you need, but it's just take care of the next game. And say we've got 6 games now we've got left. 6 games, 6 huge games left, so 18 points to play for, and we know we're in a better position than a lot of other teams below us, and so we just need to try and get those wins as quickly as possible, and hopefully we don't have to go into those last couple of games needing something. Well, fingers crossed. As I said, you've got 5 games you're available for. Fingers crossed they go well for you and for the team, and we're sat here talking about a promotion challenge next season.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
That's it. Well, Dave, thanks very much for joining us. Please do go pick up the book from all good retailers here in the Mega Store as well. Yeah. And like I said, proceeds going to a good cause. Chris Gunter and John Daddy Bodvarsson, you've been served notice on that. So Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
So we heard the thoughts of Dave Edwards there on this weekend's opponents, Preston. Let's take a little look at how they've been getting on in their past couple of games.
Easter showed that Preston North End can't yet put all their eggs in the playoff basket. They were defeated handsomely at Sheffield Wednesday, and striker Anthony Nuyu was the first to get on the score sheet. Lucas Howe was the next to register, heading in with pinpoint accuracy to convert Barry Bannon's deep cross. North End had a lifeline when Louis Moult converted Daniel Johnson's low cross, pulling the visitors within 1 goal. But it was Nuyu who put the game beyond doubt in stoppage time. Rather than running down the clock by heading to the corner flag, he decided to find the top corner instead. And Fernando Forestieri sealed the Owls' rout in the 6th added minute of stoppage time by burying his free kick. On Easter Monday, Derby were dominated by Preston at Deepdale, but left with all the spoils. Preston couldn't translate any of their 19 shots into goals. Few opportunities were better than a spot kick when Alan Brown was toppled by Andre Wisdom. Brown himself stepped up, but missed wide via the base of the post. Conversely, the Rams managed to take one of their 2 efforts. Chris Maxwell got a glove to Tom Lawrence's free kick, but couldn't do enough to prevent it from squirming in. That gave Derby something to hold on to, and that's exactly what they did. Preston piled on the pressure, but when a ball broke free, centre-back Paul Huntington wasn't the likeliest candidate to convert. Paul Gallagher was equally wasteful with the game's last notable chance, shanking his effort high over the bar.
Unfortunately, it's safe to say we're in a bit of a relegation scrap at the moment. So, what better way to prepare yourself for a tough fight than speaking to a man who knows a few things about getting involved in a bit of a ruckus.
Hi, I'm a senior Byfield, known as D-Ghost. I'm the Southern Area Super Welterweight Champion. Here's a look into my typical day's training. Shadow boxing is an important part of boxing, and it helps you with your technique and your movement. I feel like the best in the world. I feel like Muhammad Ali. Yeah, let punches go, let them flow. Throw head body, see the slip there, mash the punches are coming at you, slip through it, slip that way. All of my friends were all troublemakers, so we was always getting in fights and
then you become very good at it.
Yeah.
Just ducking people with right hooks.
It got to a point where I'm like, you lot, in all the fights we've had, I haven't actually been hit. One of the most important parts of boxing is your pad work and your coach. It helps you speed up, sharpen up, so you can hit the target on time all the time.
You made your pro debut recently, haven't you, as well?
Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
Started off quite young.
I think that's the best normally, because people get complacent. So like now you've just got in, there's going to be players in the team that's going to get complacent where they've been there for so long.
Yeah.
And
He's my position, man.
He's like the lion. We'll have our family down at the games. They're going to be like, yes, there he is, come on, get McShane off. Next we've got sparring. It's the closest we can get to anything like fight night when you're in the ring fighting.
Do you have a routine where you're up at 5 in the morning running, or what's your daily routine?
Sometimes on my highest day I hit like 7 sessions.
Yeah. Right. Imagine us doing 7 sessions.
Yeah. I have to make sure that I'm training harder than everybody else.
Even when we have injuries, they get us in the gym doing
everything
30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Even for that, for 5 minutes is max. It's like kills me.
Thanks for looking into Team D-Ghost and how we train and why we are in the position that we're in today. All the hard work we put in. My next fight is for the English title, and it's also a British title, final eliminator. If you can come down and support, it will be very appreciated, and hope to see you again soon. Peace.
So we are just hours away from that massive game here at Madejski Stadium against Preston. And if you've not got your ticket, fear not. There are still spaces in the ground, and you can be here with an adult ticket starting as low as £20 with plenty of discounts for concessions as well. You can head over to the Reading FC website for more information on that, or give the ticket office a ring. Then, 7 days later, we're back here with a game against Ipswich Town. And then 2 weeks later, our final home game of the season against Sunderland. Be here, the boys need your support. We want a nice, loud stadium to get us over the line and secure that championship place for next season. So, as I mentioned, for all your ticketing needs, head over to the website. And remember, if you buy your tickets, you can also, and you're a season ticket holder at least, you can use the new e-cash system, which means you don't even need to bring cash with you to buy your food on the concourse or in the hotel, or you're spending on merchandise in the megastore. Again, head over to the website for more details on that. Any spending you do there and any tickets you buy will help go towards your Royals rewards. Plenty of great things available on there for you. Unique, one-of-a-kind experiences that you just won't find anywhere else. And you don't even have to buy them. There are prize draws and lots of other things there. So again, I very much encourage you to head over to the website and check on that. So will it be Reading victorious on Saturday? Well, we certainly hope so. And let's look back through the archives, some more memorable wins against Preston North End down the years. Well, a little bit earlier on, we asked you the quiz question. Who did Dave Edwards score his first Reading goal against? And the prize was a signed Reading shirt signed by Dave Edwards, as well as a copy of his book. The answer was Millwall, a little bit earlier this season, in an unfortunate 2-1 defeat. But Dave getting us ahead in that game. Congratulations, if you've got the right answer. We will be in touch with you to see if you are the one who has been picked to be the very lucky winner. So that just about wraps up today's Royal Exchange. We'll be back on Saturday, just ahead of kickoff, to bring you the team news ahead of the Preston game. And remember, you can head out and check out our archives. We've had lots of great interviews so far this season. We've spoken to Chris Gunter, John Daddy Bodvarsson, Vito Manone and Dave Kitson. So I encourage you to head over to the YouTube channel or the iFollow service to catch up on all your Royal Exchange needs. In the meantime, thanks again to Dave Edwards joining us today. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully see as many of you as possible on Saturday here at the Madejski Stadium. Remember, tickets are still available. Head over to the website for that. In the meantime, come on you Rs.
They've got the flick on. Puritan! Yes!